back, of course, the Iranian-American war and its developments on the ground is one of the most important topics that the whole world is looking at and waiting for the results of the talks between the Omanis and the Iranian regarding the return of the navigation in the Strait of Hormuz and the decision of the safe lanes for the navigation. And we have heard the Iranian officials talking about a very soon agreement regarding this issue if the American side did agree about the final agreement between the Omanis and the Iranians. Also, the situation regarding the ammunition in the United States, which was highlighted by the U.S. President, is aiming and topping the agenda of the headlines of the news regarding the developments of the issue. To shed more light on the latest developments in the Iranian-American war, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by our very prominent guest, Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of Political Science. A very good morning, Dr. Wagih.
Good morning to you. How are you?
How are you, sir? Always a pleasure. Dr. Wagih, of course, we have heard statements from U.S. President Donald Trump saying that the U.S. has passive stockpile of ammunition at this very critical timing. How do you see and do you read this statement by the U.S. President, and why President Trump did say this statement at the moment?
Yeah, actually, it started out by the American media, who really made leakage, claiming that 80% of the stockpiles of the weapons are exhausted in the previous firing for now five months. So I think that President Trump responded severely to these media channels and threatened to for a long-term sentence in the prisons for those who are leaking such sensitive information. He considered it very sensitive information in a time of war, and he threatened to punish all those people. And also the White House representative Caroline mentioned that it is fake news. So we heard two sides. We heard the media and we heard the response by President Trump.
Yes. Sir, will such statements actually help in refuting the rumors and comments about the U.S. running out of ammunition stockpile at this very critical timing where, of course, the war of Iran is still ongoing, the Ukrainian war is still ongoing? How do you see such statements reflecting on the public opinion in the world and in the United States in particular?
Actually, you know, as some people say, propaganda is half truth. So people are talking about 50% correct, 50% wrong, 50% propaganda, 50% no propaganda. It is real. Actually, the United States is supposed to provide also Gulf countries and other places with ammunition. It's not only the U.S. Army. So I think that it is logical that people could believe such a thing, which is very compatible now with what President Trump said. I have to be with a low key when talking with the Iranians, as if he is making a drastic shift from his own language, which was all the time zero-sum, all the time threatening, and there is a change now. So people are connecting the two things together. But again, he could have the right thing to say, no, our stockpile is fine, but he knew that war will never achieve his agenda.
Yes.
So he is changing his agenda towards semi-win-win, which is different now.
Yes.
And I hope he will continue to be so, because I think in negotiations, zero-sum never works, especially when with cultures like the Iranian culture.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So this is important that he is making that drastic change in his negotiating style, because this would be good for the entire world.
Yes. Dr. Wagih, actually, what raised this question at this timing? Is it a kind of bluffing from the U.S. President to change the course of events, or to do some pressure on the Iranians, or maybe how do you see the statement at this particular timing? Did the U.S. President or the U.S. administration have maybe wrong imagination for or expectation from the results of the war? Maybe they did not expect it to last this long. How do you see the timing of the statement, and why it was revealed at the moment?
Actually, the timing, because it's very important, it's right now for moving towards a solution.
Yeah.
Because war will never achieve everything, and it will have terrible repercussions. And I think this is the only way. To the extent that we are faced now in the world by very contradictory statements, like when the foreign minister of the foreign secretary of the United States mentioned that we will never allow any move in the Strait of Hormuz. This means that they are against Iran-Oman negotiation and an agreement to emerge. But again, there is other voices, and I think including the president himself, that they are waiting for a conclusive agreement so as to can use it within a larger context with the memo of understanding, which came to a stop. So I think we have two different points here, and warning that doing such a thing by Oman and Iran is rejected. But again, we have some people that it is okay to make the ships flow again.
Yes. According to the issue of the stockpile of ammunition, sir, do you believe here that we are going to witness some change in the course of events and the reactions regarding the war with Iran, the war in Ukraine, as well as the American aid or help to the Israelis in their attacks and genocide war in this Gaza Strip?
I think any fair-minded person hope for such a thing, wishes to see an end to all these three hotspots in the world, which really impacted the entire world. And I think that let us wait and see, and let us help. And I think that we are here in the Egyptian diplomacy, are working very hard to de-escalate all these conflicts. And we have seen all the efforts regarding this by other mediators, the Pakistani and the Qatari and etc. So I think that yes, the time is right for settling all these conflicts together. They are very interconnected, by the way, in one way or another, and they should be solved together, one after another, because they are impacting each other definitely. And I think that wars did not achieve much in all these places. So I hope that restoration of the international law should be the slogan for the entire world, because this is the only way out for the entire world.
Yes. Who was the U.S. President addressing when he was saying such statements? Do you believe that the U.S. President had a specific target by saying these statements, Dr. Wagih?
Yes, of course. For the internal affairs in the United States and for the coming election, ongoing elections, actually, he is trying to achieve something, even it is symbolic. So I think that he used these words. I'm deploying now a low key, means he is de-escalating. But again, let us understand that President Trump is one of the most unpredictable negotiators, and he proved that in several occasions. But I think pressure and the situation would pressure him to go for a final solution, and we hope so.
Dr. Wagih, also at the same time we are witnessing negotiations taking place between the Iranians and Omanis regarding the return of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, and of course a decision on specific lanes for safe navigation in the strait. Developments regarding agreement regarding the safe navigation in these specific lanes, and how do you see the talks so far, and how these the action of the talks could be inflicted positively on the security of navigation in the Red Sea?
Actually, this is part of considering Iran considered the Strait of Hormuz as a leverage in negotiation. It never used that before the war, by the way.
Yes.
But the asymmetric situation where there is a huge power of the United States, and that was Israel and the United States together against Iran. So Iran took the chance to use Hormuz as a leverage to threaten not only those countries, but to threaten the entire world. And that was the only possible step for the Iranians. But again now, their strategy seems to be having its own way for success, because the United States now is waiting for them to finish it and to get it done so that they can use it in their strategic plan for the entire situation and for getting the blocking away from Iran. And I think that the war has caused this. Iran never used the Strait of Hormuz before the war.
Yes.
Now they are using it. Now they insist to have it. Now Oman is saying they don't mind if they can share revenue between the two. And instead of the word the tolls, they are using now service fees. And I think that this is a precedent that would impact other places in the world.
Yes. Sir, many points are still hanging, if we can say, yet we are hearing about positive agreement between Oman and Iran regarding the decision of the safe lanes in the Strait of Hormuz, but yet we are waiting for the approval from the United States. Yet we are having some hanging points regarding the Iranian demand for some compensation, if we can say, from the American side regarding the destruction that was caused by the war. What's your take on this?
I think that we will come back after that to square number one and to the move regarding the 14 or 15 points mentioned in Islamabad memo of understanding.
Yes.
I think these are the agenda of the Iranians, and they feel this is a legitimate agenda, and I think that the United States, especially with inner voices, like especially the voice of the Vice President, is that he is for a negotiation where a win-win and for saving the Iranian people, as he said. And I think that these inner voices is official. So I think that we can see another round of negotiations where there should be at least partial agreement for a win-win, because a win-win is the only way.
Sir, also other main points are still hanging between the American Americans and the Iranian concerning the freezing of the Iranian funds in the U.S. and of course the compensation, as we have said, and of course the nuclear file. So do you believe that an agreement could be reached regarding these very important and critical issues of misunderstanding or of differences between both sides? And if not, what might be the situation on the ground regarding the talks between the Iranians and the Americans?
Of course, the situation is still very problematic, very complicated, because as the Americans said, they launched the entire world war for the nuclear situation in Iran. But now what is being negotiated actually is opening Hormuz for the international navigation with some compensation, and the Iranians are very stubborn about their what they call legitimate right to have their nuclear powers and the nuclear use for peaceful purposes, and they said they are using UN agencies for inspecting, and that's it, with no more aggression of that kind of agenda.
Dr. Wagih, also the Iranian parliament is looking to a draft law for the hostile, for stopping the hostile, if we may say, I'm quoting here, the Iranians hostile ships from navigating in the Strait of Hormuz. Is that possible on the ground? And if it was or it passed, what could be the repercussions on the ground and on the supply chain and the freedom of navigation in the Red Sea?
Actually, this is a very difficult situation. We have all the time seen rhetorics on one side and actual actions in another side. You know, the Iranians, to prove their geopolitical control of the situation, fired on many ships. Even in the agreement, there is an article about banning America and Israel from passing, and I think this is the Iranians are aiming high in the negotiation, but I think they could do something about it while they are returning back to the negotiating table, but they don't want any threats.
Yes.
Their negotiators mentioned that they will never allow negotiation to be under threats, and it shouldn't be a surrender negotiation in any way.
Yes. Sir, we are hearing here some rigid tone as well from the Iranian side. Yet for a final agreement to be implemented on the ground regarding the navigation and the freedom of navigation and the safety of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, we are waiting for the approval from the American side. So we are seeing a very difficult and complicated situation, how we are hearing here about a banning for the hostile ships from passing the strait, while we are waiting for the American approval to implement such an agreement if it was reached between the Omanis and the Iranians. So it's a very conflicting situation here.
Yes, of course, it is part of the aiming high as a negotiating agenda, which has been in actual use by both parties. Americans did that, and the Iranians are doing that as well.
Yes. So, as you have just mentioned, aiming high. Why the Iranians are aiming high while we are still not even in the stage of the resumption of peace talks between the two sides, and we are still hearing statements from the U.S. President threatening for resumption of attacks against the Iranian side as well. So what are your expectations for the coming phase? Are we going to witness a renewal of attacks from both sides, the Iranians and the Americans, or a resumption of peace talks with the mediation of the mediators here in Pakistan, Egypt and Turkey would be taking place soon?
Yes, one of the most well-known tactic in negotiation is that I would raise 6 or 7 topics, but I am hiding 3 out that I will never give away. But when I say I have 6 or 7 points, as the story says, yes, I can wave away and I can make compromises regarding 4 of them. The 3 of them, which are being hidden in the 7 topics, will not be touched. And I think that the Iranians want money because their economy is very in a dangerous situation. So they want release on their money and also compensation for the war. And also the nuclear file will not be they will not be compromising much about it. I think that they can make some compromises on hormones, which is being watched by the entire world now. When they say Americans are waiting for the Oman and the Iran says the same thing, I think yes, this could be released because this will make ships flow again, and this would give a symbolic victory for President Trump, that he opened up the Hormuz, and the negotiation will be rounds and rounds, and it will never end in one shot. So I think that the two are playing the same game, but I hope they will come to a decisive decision to end that game for the sake of the entire world.
Yes. Finally, Dr. Wagih, the Iranian foreign minister said that Iran and the U.S. will not engage in direct talks, and Tehran will not start the talks again as long as Washington is breaching the interim deal that was signed in June. How do you see the implications of such statements from the Iranian side, and do you believe here that would be affecting the world markets as well as the supply chain in the world if an agreement between the Omani and Iranian was not reached as well regarding the return of navigation and decision of the safe lanes in the Strait of Hormuz and the Red Sea?
Actually, let me say that the agreement, the Islamabad agreement, was okayed and was about to get it done. But again, some elements and some parties tried to spoil that, and they succeeded in spoiling that. And there is a conflict now between U.S. and Israel that they want this to get it done. And I think we have seen elements of the clash between the two countries when it comes to their different interests when it comes to the current situation, with a lot of internal change in the United States regarding putting an end to this war.
Yes, indeed.
And it shouldn't be for the sake of another country.
Yes, of course. Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of Political Science, thank you so much, sir, for your precious input. Always a pleasure to have you with us, and have a very good morning. And of course, the latest developments in the Iranian-American file and the talks between the Omani and Iranians regarding the return of safe navigation in the Strait of Hormuz and the safe lanes. More in the following report.
Sunday that they would not reopen the Strait of Hormuz until the United States complied with a list of demands, including paying compensation for war damage. Iran's effective blockade of the crucial energy conduit has rattled the allies, rolled markets and driven up prices. However, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Sunday that he was low-keying it in his approach to Tehran, suggesting he believed he could wait them out economically. Tehran insists on retaining control of the Hormuz after the war and wants to charge tolls